Welcome everybody. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to climb at every rank in 90 seconds. I'm a coach with over 3 years of experience, having helped thousands of players, done over 5,000 reviews, answered tens of thousands of questions, and all of this knowledge is what I'm going to be compiling in this one video. I'm going to be sharing you guys the key things to focus on in each rank, and I'm going to take 90 seconds per ranked group. So let's jump straight into it. The first ranks we're going to start with is Unranked, Iron, and Bronze. And if you're in these ranks, what I really recommend is that you look at your champion pool first, and there's two different options. If you're a newer player in these ranks, I recommend that you cycle your champions so that you can get a new fresh experience every 60 games on new champs, learning their individual identities. If you're a bit of an experienced player already in these ranks, I recommend having a champion pool of 2 champions max so you can focus upon the game fundamentals. And when it comes to the champs that are really good and effective in these elos, these are the tier list on the right that I recommend that you choose from. When it comes to the game fundamentals that you need to learn, the most important thing that you need to learn is that you need to play towards your champion identity. If we can consistently play out towards the strengths of our champion, we will find success in climbing towards silver and gold. It's all about viewing the game through a me lens and being able to do what your champion wants to do. That's why, for example, a champ like Malzahar is so good, because it's one of the easiest champs to execute your identity upon. So the goal in this rank is also to understand what each champion does in the game. So if you're new to the game, it's going to require you quite a bit of repetitions and quite a bit of experience to really understand what each champion does. But you really want to be eventually viewing the game through the lens of your champ and playing towards the lens of your champ, and that's how you're eventually going to find success. The next rank I'm going to be discussing is silver and gold, and in this rank it's very important to get specific to the basic game fundamentals. So for that reason, we are also going to be playing with a champion pool of 2 champions max, and because we really want to emphasize learning the game fundamentals, this tier list on the right is a really good example of champs that you can pick that will allow you to learn these game fundamentals really, really well. When it comes to the key things to focus on, is you want to start to learn how to review, and most importantly, fix your mindset. Because what I find in a lot of with a lot of clients that I work with is that a lot of players are really struggling with mental battles at this point in the journey, more so than with other ranks. So I really want you to try to get a good relationship with the game. And if you feel like this may be one of your weaknesses, try to figure out why you're struggling with it and how you can fix it. Besides that, it's very important to start getting specific on matchups and start building matchup understanding. We really want to not only view the game through our champion, but also how does our champion want to interact with the enemy champion. Lane fundamentals and basic game fundamentals are incredibly important to drill, and what's going to be the most important thing to do whenever you're at this stage of your journey is watch educational content. Because in educational content, all of these fundamentals will be explained either throughout a champion lens or just in general. And you can, by soaking up a lot of this content, you can actually grasp these fundamentals to a very basic level already really, really well. You also want to be playing the mid game throughout what your champ wants to be doing. So very similar as to the previous ranks, and really play towards the identity of how does my champion want to play in the mid game. The next ranks I'm going to be discussing are Platinum and Emerald, and I think the most amount of my coaching sessions are actually from this elo range, and I really enjoy these ranks because the players in these ranks start to get really good at the game. So when it comes to champion pool, on the right we see ourselves a beautiful tier list that you can pick champions from that are just really good to improve it on these in these ranks. And we recommend a champ pool of 3 max, but you got to keep in mind that complexity matters. If you're going to be playing LeBlanc, Yasuo, and Katarina, you'll never climb. So you got to keep in mind that we pick champs that are not too hard, but also that they challenge you and can teach you the game fundamentals. So when it talks to game fundamentals, Platinum and Emerald is all about lull states. If I'm going to be doing a Platinum and Emerald coaching session, it's literally a coin flip, 50% chance that the main topic and the main takeaway and learning objective is going to be about lull states. Understanding how to start thinking in the game, to start closing out the game and explode the enemy nexus. And one of the key things to note is that this is the ranks where players really start getting pretty stuck. And the reason why is because they don't really know what exactly is going wrong in their games and how they personally are impacting the end result of the game. So coaching in these ranks, especially if you can get it consistently, is really, really important if you want to break through. In these ranks as well, you really want to look at your micro, your trading, and your fighting. If you can improve that and take that to the next level, that's a pretty easy way to break through towards diamond, because if you're just fighting and trading better, you're going to get a lot more control in the games. Most importantly though, repetitions and consistency is key in these ranks, because if you can consistently get your games in, have a good process about knowing what you need to focus on, and improving that step by step, you will eventually book consistent results, allowing you to get to diamond. We're moving on to diamond, and diamond is where it's going to get a little bit more interesting. So there's one big elephant in the room that we instantly got to get rid of, and that is that the difference between diamond and master players is that master players know how to explode the enemy nexus, while diamond players don't fully understand how to do that. And it's not only how, but it's also how fast and how good that they can do that. So first of all, champion pool matters. We also want to be playing up with a champion pool of 3 mux, and you got to keep in mind that you don't want to pick too complex champs, because then it's just going to be really hard for you to consistently improve your game fundamentals and climb to the next level. When it comes to the fundamentals that we really need to start implementing, is number 1 is win condition understanding. How do we actually win the game? And not only from our own champion's perspective, no, we really got to start implementing what does our team composition do and what does the enemy team composition do and how do they interact with each other. So we got to start thinking more holistically about the game. And that's what a lot of people start struggling with, and a lot of people just don't have the tools to do that just yet. One of the other key things in the mid game is just speed of decision making. The difference between master players and diamond players is very large when it comes to just the decisions that they make, but also how fast that they actually make these decisions. Master players on average are a few seconds faster than the diamond players, and they're more decisive, which means that their mid game tempo and just speed upon the map is just a lot faster, and they're going to be to place earlier than diamond players are. We're moving on to the master plus climb, and this is really where the game starts to get challenging, because starting from this point, you're going to be sometimes matching players that are freakishly good at the things that they do. And we're going to start with a champion pool. You can have a champion pool of 4 champs max, as long as you stick to them for a longer period of time. But you got to keep in mind that complexity also matters. We are going to be versing the best of the best OTPs in your region. You can't just rock up with 10 games on a new champion and just think you can beat them. No. If you're going to be versing off against my Syndra, in which that I put over 1,000 of games, and you're going to be rocking up with your 10th Zoe game, you're going to get murdered. So you need to get specific and hone in on your champion mastery. And the key thing in these ranks is that you have a mental stack. You have 100% of your mental energy, and we're going to need 100% of our mental energy. So if 50% of that is going towards your champion, you can't really use that for other points in the game. So what we need to start doing is develop that much amount of champion mastery that only a small portion of our mental energy is going to go towards our champion, and we can spend the rest upon the game. So key fundamentals that we need to look at is, first of all, the climb here becomes real hard. If you recognize that you want to go from master to grandmaster, you're up for a journey, because that's going to take a long time. And in this point, you really want to start mastering skills and get consistent. You want to start drilling, blocking, and really going deep on specific fundamentals, watching high elo VODs to try to figure out what they do and really get curious to take your gameplay to the next level. You also want to learn new gameplay concepts to try to implement it in your game. So coaching is also a very important tool to get yourself from master to grandmaster. Matter of fact, there's only very little players that do it out of themselves because of how hard and brutal this part of the journey is. You want to view mid-game and just generate the game like solving 1,000 different puzzles, because there's always going to be these small optimizations that you can do, and learning how to review those is going to be a crucial part of your journey. And one of the key tools that we like to use is micro-macro review methods. So if a big play happens and it goes south, what you can do is you're going to go 30 seconds back and try to ask yourself the question, what could I have improved in this micro-wise, and how could I have changed this play macro-wise, and try to solve it that way. Mid-game is really where the real juice is. The difference between the Master and the Grandmaster Plus players is really just their efficiency in the mid-game, knowing which lanes to be on, knowing where the fights happen, and that is just insanely hard to do on your own. So Master Plus, one of the most fun places to climb through, but also one of the hardest to do so. Thank you all for watching, guys. If you want coaching, check out the link in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.